Hey guys, James here. Hope everyone's doing well. I'd asked for some things you guys wanted to to see and or questions you had, and you guys posted some up, so I'm going to answer some of those. Team Six had asked a few questions. One was how we found our property. Um, it, Originally, when we started looking for property, we're looking in Utah around the Cedar City area, and really like that area. It's beautiful out there. I like the pinyon pines, that whole, the red rock. Property's cheap out there, but when I started looking into it, I found that you had to petition the state engineer to drill a well in that area of the southern Utah area, and it could take them a year to get back to you, and they could say no. So you'd be stuck with property, and which is why I think there's a lot of cheap property out there. I guess you could try to capture rainwater or something. I just don't know if you could get enough to live off of. So we started looking into Nevada, because Nevada at the time that we looked, you could, if you bought property and you're going to build a house, you drilled a well, and you could do it, and no questions. That may have changed now. I'm not sure. I know they were talking about changing the amount of water you could get on a domestic well, because we're allowed 2 acre feet here. They were talking about changing it to a half an acre foot of water and no outside watering, anything like that. I don't know if that passed. I know there's still a lot of back and forth on it. Basically, they've over-allocated the water rights in this area, so now they're trying to limit the impact in the area. Our property does not have water rights on it, other than our domestic well, so we can't do any big farming, which is something I wish I had done more research in the beginning. I just didn't know. And I expected to be able to plant a couple acres of, say, wheat for my own personal use, thinking it was gardening, but no, that's not going to fly. So that's why we went for the greenhouse and the aquaponics. So we're gonna go that route. But this area, how we found it, my dad, when he was a kid, worked up in McDermott on a ranch up there, and just had some, I don't know, happy memories or something. But he's getting older, and this is going to be his last move. So this is the area we started looking at, and he wanted to be up here. I wouldn't have picked this area as a first choice. I've grown to love it. It's awesome up here. I wish I had more trees, but we can plant those eventually. And I may not stay here, after he's gone. But that depends. If my daughter marries somebody from the area and stays in the area, I'm gonna stay, here too. If she doesn't, then I may go on somewhere else. So we'll see. Who knows what's gonna happen? But we just looked around. We found a real estate agent that dealt with rural properties, and this is one of them that came up, and we made an offer and got it. So other question Team 6 had is about homeschooling. We do homeschool. We use a Becca, which is it's a Christian-based program, but it's video, where they have video teachers that so she's being taught by a video teacher. We supplement that with other stuff, and if she needs help, we do it, or we have somebody that helps us, does tutoring. Since we're doing the house, we don't have unlimited time. But yeah, we do homeschool. I would encourage it. You get to control what your kid's learning, and and keep up on if they're learning. You can see when they're struggling. We still do test her to see where her weaknesses are and what we need to focus on. But so far it's worked out well. So I'd encourage it, and if you're considering homeschooling, find a homeschool group in your area. If there isn't one, put the word out and start one with other parents, because there's a lot of, you go through homeschooling and you're pulling your hair out and you're saying, oh man, why, I'm sure other parents aren't having this problem, and I can tell you, talking to the other parents, it's all the same, So get in with a group, and it's almost like a support group, yeah, do that. So yeah, we do homeschool. The other question by Team 6 was the projects we decided to hire out. In the metal building, well, in all the buildings, the concrete we hired out. After seeing what was done, I would do it myself next time if I did it again, but we hired out the concrete. On the other thing we hired out was the electrical to the structure. We had an electrical company do that, lay the conduit in the ground, and hook it up to the panel. Beyond that, in the house, we've done that all ourselves. And then in the house also, the HVAC, I hired that out, although what I've learned now, I would do that myself, and if there was something that was required, to have a licensed HVAC person do, like hook up, deal with Freon or something like that, I would hire that out, but the actual install of it, I do it myself. A lot of these things, I wish I had done more research into, but, again, hindsight's 20/20, and, if I ever do it again, I'll do a lot more myself. The roof on the house. We needed to get it weathered in, so I just hired it out. Originally, I wanted to go with a metal standing seam roof, and I didn't have the time. I needed to get the rest of the house weathered in, and so we went with just an asphalt shingle roof, and down the road, we can do a metal roof if I so desire. So, but yeah, that's all we hired out. Now, the other question Team 6 asked was the cost of the building, what we have into it. Now, this building, I did some things on it that wouldn't be standard on most buildings. So, for instance, the canopy, that one has no support other than, where it's attached to the side of the building. So, yeah, that's an added expense. You can see how, put a picture up, the rafters that come out that support that canopy are all wrapped, so birds aren't going to be making nests in it. Basically, critter-proof the outside of the building. Another added expense. Inside the shop, that mezzanine, huge expense. If I was going to do the mezzanine again, I would get bolt-in bar joists. These ones had to be welded, and a certified welder had to come out and do it. And then a structural engineer had to come out and inspect those welds. The structural engineer had to inspect the structure of the building, which was easy because I used the tension control bolts on there. If I'd used regular bolts, he would have gone up, he would have had me go up there and pull a torque wrench on each one of those bolts to make sure that it was the right torque, and I didn't want to deal with that, so I went with the tension control. Another added expense. The bar joists, if they were screwed in, would be an added expense. In the shop, I put the girts at every 2 feet because we were attaching the plywood, so I don't have to build any wall behind it. Again, added expense. The stairs and the railing, we put a gate in it. The stairs had to be specific to our building department, and they cost a lot. So the breakdown, the building roughly is about $100,000 is what we got into the whole investment here. The building was roughly $41,000. The concrete was about $23,000. The stairs and railing and everything was about $12,000. Insulation, I don't know, 4 or 5. I think each of the big roll-up doors were about 3. It just all added up. Your other option out here, and it's a lot cheaper, is to go with a pole barn. But 20 years down the road, a pole barn's got wooden, columns stuck in the ground, and if they're that old, you may not be able to get a loan on the property or something. I don't know. I don't know. But this metal building, as long as you make sure it's not leaking and fix anything like that, is going to be standing here in 100 years. You'll have to do a roof replacement at some point and a screw replacement. But if you do all those things, it's going to outlast a pole barn, and it's a heck of a lot stronger. So that's roughly what we got into it, and I haven't added up all the figures. I kind of glanced over my list, and I hadn't written down the stairs or the building, so I'm going off memory. So I could be wrong, but I don't think it was any more than that. But that's about $100,000 for this building. So if you're considering it, if I had it to do over again, I would have made it 20 feet longer, 10 feet shorter, no mezzanine, no canopy, and it probably would have ended up costing me about $20,000 less to do it that way than what I did now. But coming from California, concrete is a whole heck of a lot more expensive than it is here, and I would have out there, to make it bigger, it would have cost more that way. So that's why we went up. And then again, hindsight 2020. I would do some research into your area and find out, if you're considering 2 options, go to a concrete guy and say, look, I'm considering a metal building this way and a metal building this way, and get 2 prices, and then get 2 prices on the metal building, and then see where you're at. But it's cool to have the mezzanine. It's nice, and that canopy's nice to put the tractor under, things like that. So anyways, so I think that was a yeah, I think that was about it for Team 6. There might have been something else. If there was and I missed it, ask it again. Jerome had listed several topics that he wanted to know about, or wanted to see videos on, and I'm going to do it on some of them. But one of the things he talked about was 4x4 tires, winter driving out here. If you're going to live in this area and you're going to have property and you're not going to put a road in, you expect have a pretty decent four-wheel drive vehicle with lockers and the whole bit. We put a road in, as you can see in this picture that I'm going to show you. It was expensive to put it in, but we don't have any issues. I maintain the road myself. The county doesn't do it. If the county came out and started maintaining it, they throw mag chloride on it, and that stuff just wrecks vehicles. So, but there's only 2 houses out here, mine and my dad's, and they won't maintain it for so few. So, I have this attachment on my tractor that I'm showing you here in this picture that I can just run down the road a couple times, and it makes it nice and smooth and keeps it in good shape. So, if you're going to be rural, either decent four-wheel drive, or put in a road, or plan on staying put if it rains in your place and it dries out quick, but a couple days. But got a bunch of coyotes out there yapping away. Lots of coyotes out here too. So, yeah. So road, definitely worth it. If you can do it. The other question he asked about was wildfires. Last year was pretty bad. I mean, all summer long it was either smoky from the California fires, or we had fires burning around us. We got lucky right where we were at. I cut some pretty big fire breaks. I have a disc for the back of my tractor attachment, and I just cut a big wide area that would be a defensible position. The metal building I'm not worried about burning. The house with the asphalt roof a little bit, but again, you know, there's nothing really. I cleared all the brush, basically a 6-acre square around it. So it's several hundred feet, so it's a pretty big defensible position. And the greenhouse, of course, that's all plastic. If any embers landed on it, it's going to wreck it. So I'm trying to keep the area pushed back. And as we're out here longer, I'm going to push this. It's called greasewood out here. It's just a garbage plant, but I'm just plowing it into the soil, and I'm going out further and further as we go. So yeah, you just have to be conscious, like anywhere, you know, that has wildfires. Oh, and there was one other thing that Jerome had asked about, and that was about big developers buying up Pershing County property. I haven't heard of any of that. It wouldn't surprise me. There's talk of I believe it's the I-11, which is the interstate that's going to run from the Mexico border up to the Canadian border. And it's going to come through here somewhere. So there's a good chance they're buying that up with hopes that, you know, they can turn around and either develop it or sell it to you know, other people for a profit. It would make sense because it's going to come up through Fallon and Fernley, I believe up to 95 there, and then it would make sense for it to hop on the 80, come up here to Winnemucca, and jump up to 95 and go up through Idaho. But there's a chance it could go, you know, north in another direction. It would be nice in the sense that the property values would go up, but, you know, when property values go up, that means you got more people coming in, more industry, and you got everything that goes along with that. So, but again, I haven't heard of anything. So if I do, I'll pass it along, but so far I haven't. So anyways, that's a few of the questions. So I'll get this out to you, and if you have any more, post them in the comments. I appreciate you watching, and yeah, thanks. So we'll talk to you soon. Take care.